Hi everybody. So we're continuing to working on the next milestone of our Garmin system, which is to get the right wing wired up completely so that we can do the magnetic testing on the magnetometer. I feel that will be a good milestone, right? The first couple of CAN bus items, permanently wired in. We'll do a little proof of concept of having the G3X and the fuselage wired up, and at least showing that we can get this thing going. So, what we're continuing to work on here is the wing. So, as stated, there's a wiring harness that comes from Vans for the wing, which is great. It deals with the roll servo and it deals with the roll trim, but it doesn't include any cording or cabling for putting the magnetometer out on the wing, right? Okay, great. So what we've done so far is we've made a bracket for the magnetometer out on the wing. We've made the CAN bus connection for the magnetometer, which will be a termination, as that is at the far end of the CAN bus. We've run the lines back towards the roll servo, and we are splicing the CAN bus into the roll servo, which is what you see me doing here. And then we just need to finish out the Molex connectors at the wing root. Well, I'd say that there's still a lot, right? So here's a close-up of what we're actually dealing with here. To the left, you can see the CAN bus connection coming from the edge of the wingtip, which is far in the distance, along with the power lead and the power ground for the magnetometer. Okay. So the power lead and the ground, they're going to bypass the roll servo, and they're just going to go to the wing root because they don't connect to anything. But the CAN bus is being spliced in to the CAN bus 12-pin Molex connector that came with the kit. So it's a simple matter of removing the pin. There's actually 3 pins. But let me back up real quick. So CAN bus, of course, is 2 data pins and a ground. So the way that the roll servo wiring harness worked is that it had the 2 pins for the CAN bus, but the ground itself actually grounded to the wing spar. So there was a ground that does go to the roll servo, and you will do a ground to the actual connector to the roll servo, which is fine. But then the ground is supposed to go back, right? It's supposed to be the shielding of the CAN bus to go back down, and then you will terminate, or I should say you'll just continue to ground the shield from the CAN bus at the various different boxes, Garmin boxes, right? So to make sure that there aren't any ground loops, I've removed the ground that's actually grounded to the wing spar and putting in a proper ground, right? So I resoldered in a ground that goes into that 12-pin Molex that's going to go to the roll servo, right? So once that half of the Molex for the roll servo is prepped, right? So all I've done is I have removed a couple of wires, so it's only 12 pins, right? I removed 2 wires that were RS-232 or serial port wires. Okay, an older version of the autopilot controller allowed you to have backup data from the roll servo using RS-232, right? Which is great. However, the controller I'm using doesn't, so I don't need them. So I removed them, which is good because I needed to have an extra spot in that 12-pin Molex connector for the ground, right? So after all of that is done, which I'm kind of working on, the next thing that I'm going to do is get the other half of the Molex connector that I need to go to the roll servo, and I'm going to go ahead and make all those wires, which is what you see me doing here, even though I really poorly focused the camera where it's pointing, which is ridiculous. So even though there's only 9 actual pinned wires that go into the roll servo, you do need 11 spots because there are 2 grounds that I'm going to have to ground to the connecting shell for this. And I will get into all that later, right? It's just more. Yep. So in the next video, we're just going to keep on wiring and keep on going. So see you soon.